Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another exciting week here in GSC 120 or Concepts in Environmental Science Online. So, I want to be able to propose a question before we get started with this week's weekly welcome. That question is this: what does this peach that I purchased at the local farmer's market have to do with this week's lesson? If you have a minute to think about it. Well, the big connection between the peach and this week's lesson is that we are going to be looking at environmental science from the perspective of agriculture. So, what is agriculture really? Well, there's a lot of different definitions of agriculture, a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different philosophies that drive our understanding of really what agriculture is. And to me, when I think of agriculture, I think about interactions. Remember, we're always thinking about interactions in this class, especially the human interaction with the different spheres around us. And agriculture is a great way to be able to communicate that interaction because in environmental science, we always want to be able to take a look at environmental impacts that are driven by humans. When we first got started in this course, we took a look at the philosophy of really what environmental science is. And years ago, pre-progressive era environmental science, there really wasn't that much. And before that, humans, we were laying down our ground roots historically and setting up farms. But as populations start to change and grow, the concept of a farm or agriculture dramatically changes. It goes from being well connected to your setting. You grow the food to be able to sustain your family. But then as time changes, it became more about growing food for large populations. And we started to lose that connection as we became more industrialized and that farms were just ways for us to feed the large urban areas and the factories. And then once we got the progressive era taking effect in environment and true environmental studies, we transitioned from a time where there's no regulation to let's start regulating the agricultural industries and allow them to become much more sustainable. And so that relates back to our peach example. You see, this is what I would consider to be a idealized peach. I've actually, before this recording, I may have consumed at least a half a peck of peaches. Um, don't ask me how much a peck is because I enjoy peaches a lot, one of my favorite fruits, but I consider this to be an idealized peach. But how did we get this idealized peach? It's because of human impacts, the fertilizers we produce, the pesticides we use to kill bugs, even down into the genetic makeup of this peach has been modified, impacted by humans. And because of that, the technology that we use impacts the environment either positively or negatively. Because remember, all the stuff that goes into this peach to make it the most idealized, perfect peach, that's about maybe 10% of what kind of resources we utilize to put into it and get it to make it look like this and even taste like it. The best peach ever. Um, So then what happens to the remaining percentages? Where do they go? Well, some of that unfortunately becomes runoff. And the agricultural byproducts interact with other parts of the Earth system. And that's really what we want to be able to investigate and attempt to model and learn more about the human impact on the environment through the story of agriculture and the revolutions that it undergoes as we learn more about the impact of the environment. When we take a look at environmental effects of agriculture through the lens of environmental science, we can conclude that humans are indeed the drivers of impacts on Earth using agriculture as a theme. And agriculture is essential for food production, but it can have both positive and negative effects on the environment, such as deforestation. Clearing forests for agricultural purposes, such as crop cultivation or livestock grazing, also correspond to the loss of biodiversity on our planet. Soil degradation refers to the decline in quality and health of the soil, resulting in the inability to grow healthy plants. And this is due to intensive farming practices such as the Dust Bowl in the 1930s. Water scarcity in agriculture refers to insufficient availability of water resources to conduct agricultural activities. Climate change is an overarching theme as human activities, particularly the burning of fossil fuels for energy production, release large amounts of greenhouse gases, and centers of agriculture are contributing to this rise due to their byproduct production. We also see the conversion of natural habitats into agricultural lands corresponding with the loss of biodiversity. But in agriculture, there are many ways it can affect the environment, but we can find ways to lessen it. The big concept that I want you to be able to take away from this week's module is the idea of what they call sustainable agriculture. It's going to be um, one of the topics we are going to delve into the most. And a farmer friend of mine once told me about sustainable agriculture, and he phrased it like this: that sustainable agriculture is a journey, not a destination. At first, I was a little confused on why he phrased it like that, but it makes a lot of sense. You see, throughout this class, we learn a lot of different analytical and scientific concepts. And agriculture changes on a daily basis, from week to month, year to year, even. And as technology starts to change, so does the byproducts humans have put into the environment as part of our interaction. And because of the changing of agriculture, so does our understanding. And that we are learning vast amounts of how agriculture can dramatically change with the implementation of new technologies, but also that human-driven interaction. Because it not only opens the door for us to learn more about new phenomena, but also helps us better understand the Earth system's theory on a variety of different levels when dealing with our feedback loops, either positive or negative. Now, in 1990, they defined what sustainable agriculture is, and it's an integrated system of plant and animal production practices. That is a generalized theme for a variety of different agricultural revolutions, and some of these we will learn in class, but it never truly had a strict definition. But we actually defined it as such because we started to use agricultural environmental metrics. to be able to understand the phenomena. And we came up with these wonderful lines of evidence to support that sustainable agriculture is truly a great thing. But it has to meet very specific needs, such as food for the community and humans that live within that community, a enhancement of environmental quality, such as making sure that there's fresh water to drink, and also to use that fresh water responsibly to irrigate, say, crops. Make the most efficient use of non-renewable resources. Have farms designed to work off of non-renewables such as wind and solar, not fossil fuels like we see out here in farms in the Appalachian region, which are still powered by burning coal. Sustain the economic viability and enhance the quality of life. Agriculture is the most basic of the industries. Anybody can really do agriculture if they put their mind to it. In fact, actually, I work closely, or at least my department works very closely, the Biological Environmental Technology program, with a lot of local farmers, but also our Agricultural Innovation Department downstairs on the main campus. We want to be able to learn more about that human environment interaction, using sustainable agriculture as a big theme in our research and studies. Now, I like to think of sustainable agriculture as a three-legged stool. It's propped up by the environment because that's where all the resources are, the community, and the economy to support it. So if one leg breaks, the whole stool falls over, and then the sustainable agriculture becomes unsustainable. And because of that, the three major areas that we need to consider that have environmental metrics is going to, again, be the environment, community, and the economy. And that the practices found in all three of those give us a desired end goal. And that is to make sure that we can use agriculture as a way to propel our populations forward without dramatically impacting the environment. So when we talk in sustainable agriculture, we have to ask ourselves, is it economically sustainable? At a minimum, individual farms tend to be profitable, but they tend not to last long. But agriculture encompasses more than the farm. It's the experience. Economic sustainability also suggests that agriculture must provide and deliver food to the public. Think of the farm as a support structure for larger population centers. And within that, environmental metric goals need to be met. How can we effectively economically run that farm? A sustainable agriculture has to be good for people as well as land and businesses. Really, we need to be accessible in our agriculture for everybody. That's where the idea of food deserts come in, and farmers markets. That's one of the reasons, again, why every week on Friday from 11 to 3, I go and volunteer at my local farmers market, but also take my money and spend it toward and invest in the local community and the farms. They give me fresh produce that keeps me healthy, and I support them financially. It's fair practices. And that is a good environmental metric because I know that each business at that farmer's market I invest in gives me a return of environmentally safe food to consume, and that their farming practices are also environmentally safe and sound. Because at a minimum, environmental sustainability also means the preservation of natural resources upon which agricultural depends on, your land and water. Rather than trying to patch pollution problems one by one, sustainable agriculture acknowledges those problems exist and tries to design a system that avoids further pollution. We can't stop it completely because humans inherently produce waste. There's nothing we can do about it. But with sustainable agriculture, we can minimize that waste byproduct and depletion of natural resources. And that is great because it cooperates with those feedback systems of the Earth system itself. It allows for more negative feedbacks, which keep the Earth system in equilibrium and prevents dramatic positive feedbacks, which form environmental flux conditions. Sustainable agriculture has a lot of positives. It allows for abundant food supplies, the accessibility of particular foods all year round, and keeps prices low. Luxury foods such as coffee, tea, chocolate, and spices are also accessible. And because of agriculture and technology, food preservation, in fact, that's actually how we get our refrigerators and systems of canning. I like to can in the fall for winter. The food that you purchase at a convenience store all came from a farm at one point, and that farm was sustainable. And so there's a variety of different concepts that come out, but our main goal is just to acknowledge that farms do produce waste, but what are they doing to be able to protect the environment and mitigate their impact on the Earth systems? As always, if you have any questions about this week's material, please reach out. You can get a hold of me through video chat, you can send me an email, or swing by my office. And hopefully I'll see you at the local farmers market, investing in other sustainable agricultural centers. Thank you.